Adoption of cloud computing security spiked during the coronavirus pandemic, and it looks like it's here to stay as many of us still work from home, shop online, stay connected with our digital devices. Here to discuss is co-founder and CEO of Cloudflare, Matthew Prince. Matthew, good to see you here. First off, just give us an overview. I mean, I know you have some big name clients, IBM, Shopify, but give us a feel for how security hacking has been going throughout this pandemic. What do the numbers actually look like?
You know, I think obviously during this pandemic, the medical professionals and scientists are the superheroes that are taking care of the sick and looking for a cure. But what's been pretty amazing has been that the rise in the internet and the ability for the internet to continue to function has allowed many people to continue to do their work. And what we've seen is an almost 50% increase globally in internet traffic. What's actually more disturbing, though, is that there has been a much larger increase in the number of cyber attacks that we're witnessing over the last 3 months. And it's kept us really busy at Cloudflare. We've been making sure that our clients are safe and secure across the internet.
Matt, your stock has been on a tear during this past 3 months of quarantine. Are you winning large new accounts from corporate clients? We're hearing from a lot of folks that big deals aren't closing, but in the cloud space, those big deals seem to be closing.
You know, I think we held our breath in Q1 as the world went on lockdown, and March was a very strange month where for the sort of 2 weeks after the lockdowns around the world took place, business definitely did slow down. But what we saw at the end of that quarter was a dramatic uptick in the amount of business that we were able to close. And people were saying, as the internet is important, we need to make sure that our internet connections are reliable, secure, and efficient. And we've seen that ability for us to continue to close business just continue and actually have been some different patterns than we have seen before. Usually April, for instance, is a slow month for us because people take vacation. We didn't see that same pattern this year. It actually held up and was much better than what we had expected.
So you're winning new clients then, Matthew, is what I'm hearing from you. Can you give us an idea of who those clients are and what they're looking for specifically from you? What have they been experiencing and why have they come to you?
Well, the way that cybersecurity worked in the past was really a castle and moat strategy, where you put all your secrets and all your employees in a castle, and then you built a moat around it with on-premise hardware that you would buy from the companies that really dominated the cybersecurity space over the last 20 years. What the pandemic did is it really accelerated the transition to a cloud-based model, because obviously your employees can't all come into the castle anymore. And what that meant is security had to be built into the network itself. And so what we're seeing is that companies that are maybe in the past were slow to adopt the cloud have used the pandemic as a motivation for their digital transformation. And so companies large and small, from small businesses, which actually had been a pretty slow cloud adopter, to European companies, which had been sort of a slow cloud adopter, those are areas where we're seeing the faucet open up and many more businesses turning to the cloud because they need to in order to continue to get work done.
Matt, I remember you telling me at Davos, which feels about 25 years ago, but it wasn't. It was actually in January, that the coming election for hackers will be the World Cup, a type of event for hackers. Everybody trying to potentially hack another election. What does it look like now to you? Some form of epic packed Super Bowl?
Well, you know, I think that as sports are canceled around the world, that's just actually getting hackers to spend more time focusing on how they can hack various things. And we see some versions of that which are relatively harmless. For instance, we've seen a big uptick in relatively unsophisticated attacks, which is actually similar to what we see when schools let out. And I think there are a bunch of bored kids out there that are trying to test their chops to see if they can hack various systems. But what's been really concerning is, especially over the last month, there's been a rise in nation-state-sponsored attacks targeting both political campaigns in the US and elsewhere, but also medical professionals and hospital systems. And that's something that we're watching incredibly carefully. As we talked about back in January, we launched something called the Athenian Project, which helps protect state, local, and federal officials that are trying to administer elections, and we provide those services for free to them. And so any officials that are worried about the election security, our team stands ready to help make sure that this election goes off as smoothly as possible.
We've heard President Trump time and time again speak out against mail-in ballots. We still don't know what the November election is going to look like. But if mail-in ballots is the way most Americans are going to be able to vote come November, do you feel confident that that's going to be a secure method? Because up till now, President Trump has said it won't be.
So, I'm not an expert on election tabulation and various ways of it working, but what we are seeing is that the forums where people go to figure out where their polling place is, to sign up for a mail-in ballot, to do the basics around how elections work, regardless of it's done in a polling place or via the mail, or in some countries online. We're seeing that infrastructure being targeted as a way of sort of the modern equivalent of posting a whole bunch of signs that said, the election has been postponed, which is something that you saw in the early days of elections in this country. What worries us and what we're trying to stay in front of is making sure that no outside influence can keep those people who have a right to vote. And that's why we're working with officials in more than half of US states in order to make sure that the election is safe and secure.
All right, Matthew Prince, CEO and co-founder of Cloudflare. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.